Hey everybody, welcome back to the Complete Game, episode 92, right, G? Is that right?
92.
92? Lots to talk about tonight. I just had
Finally.
a Hall of Fame day, um, and the biggest names signed, and I'm not sure if I had five guesses that I would have guessed who he signed with. I just didn't think that they would do that. Kyle Tucker signed, Bichette signed, and we have two new members of the Hall of Fames. Where do you want to start, G?
Yeah, I mean, we're leading off with we thought Kyle Tucker last week was going to be moved by the time we got here. I think you and I both did not have the Dodgers on our radar. He signed a 4-year, $240 million deal, and then the other one you mentioned was Bichette signing a 3-year, $126 million ticket with the Mets, who apparently placed first in the sweepstakes with the Phillies in close second. They are a little bit burned, apparently. And apparently the Dodgers aren't done, is what I keep reading. Freddie Peralta might be on the radar. I mean, it's
Yeah, they're talking about trading for Freddie Peralta.
at what point is there such a thing as diminishing returns? Like
Well,
with
no, there isn't. I'll tell you what I think has happened. I think we've hit the tipping point for the next collective bargaining agreement, unfortunately. And I'm a player my whole life, member of the union my whole life, and I'm I'm not on the other side of it, but now I'm looking at it from a different perspective. The argument was always for the owners. The argument they always stood on that we knew they were full of crap on was, the payrolls were never disparate enough where you could say this team can't do what this team did. I think we're now at that point. I think I thought we were kind of there last year because I've seen the books. I know these teams make a lot more than they claim. Revenue sharing gives the lower end teams more money, but I think we're now at a place where there are a couple teams who can spend money that other teams can't even come close to spending. And listen, if you're a Dodger player or fan, if you're a player, you don't object to this. They're doing what you want the owners to do, which is spend money on players. But I'm not so sure that the field is level anymore. People say, "Oh, it's never been level," but the parity in baseball is better than any sport, and has been for the most part up until the last couple of years. And I don't even know if the last couple of years would change that. But the fact of the matter is, what are we at? We're going to be at $500 million when somebody's payroll at some point, probably close to that.
the Dodgers
with
are
revenue tax.
the Dodgers are poised to spend north of $400 million in payroll just this year. There are only 3 other teams in Major League Baseball that are going to be in the 300 million bracket,
Right.
with the 2 Florida teams barely poised to spend
And with the
100
luxury
million.
tax penalty, they'll end up paying probably over $500 million.
Yeah.
And you know what? They'll still make a crap ton of money.
So do you think there will be some sort of lockout, maybe if not this year, next year, because of the salary cap?
I think the next negotiation there will be a work stoppage.
Yeah, because the
I
last one we
think
had got done like 5 days before the season, and that was
right.
2021.
I
Different set
think
of circumstances.
it's hard to say, but I think I've not been a fan of Tony Clark since he took over the Players Association. Don Fear, Mike Weiner were legends. I like Tony as a person. I just don't think he's done a very good job leading the Players Association. And I think we're at a time and a place where you're going to see the players give. I don't. I there's. I mean, you're the money is again 60 million for 4 years, and I think we talked about him getting short money, right? And we talked about 3 for 150
Per
I
year,
didn't
by the
see
way.
right.
You said 60 for 4 years, 60 per year.
Right. Right. No, yeah, no, I didn't see it getting there, but I get it. I totally get it, and that's a save. The argument. Well, hold on, let me back up. I'm guessing a couple teams were probably at the 7 to 8 year, $40 million range, right? So 7 years at 40 is 280. He just got literally half that period of time for just about the same money. And it comes off the books quicker for the Dodgers because it's 4 years. And I think you're going to see that. But I guess the question is, and I'm not answering this question. I don't have the answer. I don't think the Tampa Bay Rays can do that. Now, I'm okay with that because, market sizes are different and all the things. I'm not sure the Arizona Diamondbacks can do that. Not the 4 at 60 per, but adding 4 at 60 to a $250 million payroll already.
Yeah, for what is
That's
essentially
the
fifth bat in your lineup.
right.
And then, like I said, we're talking about Freddie Peralta.
Listen,
their starting rotation without him.
I gotta tell you this. Well, I gotta tell you this. You know how I talk about players being good and bad in the context of being big leaguers. So when I say a guy's not good, I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying comparatively speaking. Of all the guys out there in baseball, Kyle Tucker's not the best player in the game, not by a mile. And, I get it, free agency and all that stuff, but look back on his career. Look, hey, do me a favor, pull his career stats up. Okay. I'm going to play this little exercise.
I mean, I think it's also the market. Like you said, he's the biggest name on the free agent market at the moment.
This is what I'm trying to get to, though. All right. You got him? Okay. If you go back and look at Mookie Betts, or you go back and look at Pete Alonso, or you go, and I'm not saying Pete Alonso is Kyle Tucker. If you go back and look at Freddie Freeman, you take any superstar, you can find a career year, right? You can find a year where like, oh my God, this guy, you tell me what year right there in this guy's career is a career year that makes him one of the 5 best players in the game. Now, these are all good years, really good years. But is there a year there where you go, holy crap? Is there a Mike Trout MVP year in there?
I think there's not a contract setting the market for this position year in there, Right. But like you were saying, and like I'm saying, that it's a prisoner of the moment, especially in the game today with no salary cap. Like if you're the biggest name on the free agent market, you're gonna get paid.
I get that. Right. But in thinking about how it's happening, you're talking about a guy who's a career 270 hitter with a 350 on base percentage. Good numbers, really nice numbers. That's a great God. If that's my 3 hitter or that's my 5 hitter, awesome. And in the Dodger lineup, he's might be hitting 7th. I don't know, and he's again a very good player. But is he the guy you want to dole out 242 over the next 4 years?
If he's not the centerpiece of your ordeal, I don't see how you do that. Like you're saying, if you're a Tampa or in Arizona.
But here's the thing that I'm trying to get to. Did you see this guy as a franchise changing bat for somebody?
Only because of the conversation around this offseason. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree with you.
Right?
I don't view Kyle Tucker like Shohei Ohtani.
Does Kyle Tucker signing with the Orioles for this contract make them the favorites in the AL East?
He would not have been as shocking as Pete Alonso because that bat comes with a different pedigree.
And I'm not knocking on them. And like I said, I don't begrudge the Dodgers. They're playing the rules.
Well, also, I guess you could just look at that stat sheet again. In which one of these years was Kyle Tucker the hitter on that team? Like, he was one of many in that Houston.
Hey, hold on a second. But you're talking to a guy who was on 2 teams where I thought I was probably one of the best pitchers in the world. I wasn't even the best pitcher on my team. Randy was better than me. But that didn't make me less good. My numbers, I had 2 seasons I could have won literally any other year in baseball, I would have won the Cy Young and got beat by a guy who deserved to beat me. It didn't make me less good. It just made him more exceptional. I don't see Kyle Tucker as that guy. Now, listen, everything changes for him when he gets to LA. First of all, it's not a hitter's park, so the numbers are going to suffer a little bit, or they won't because he's going to be protected. Everybody in that lineup is protected, right? And listen, if they get Peralta, good for them, but we've seen this, right? Go back to 03-04 with the Red Sox and the Yankees. Those 2 rosters were every bit as good as this Dodger roster. Every bit. I mean, you look at the Hall of Famers up and down the lineup, MVPs up and down the lineup, World Series championships up and down the lineup, but it wasn't. The Yankees had the best roster in baseball.
This pitching staff would give you guys issues.
Yeah, I think our 04 pitching staff was good.
Yamamoto, yeah. I'm not saying, but Yamamoto,
no, I know,
Ohtani, Snell, Glasnow, and then Peralta. If you want to, like, if he gets there, and if not, Sasaki. I mean, it's
the only guy who again, remember, he would have been going up against that 04 lineup with the Red Sox where, Billy Miller, who won the batting title in 03, was hitting 9th. And it was a lineup that you know what it was? It was a lineup. It was like Toronto's lineup this year with monster power. They just wore you out. And I don't know. The game's changed a lot in the last 20 years. In good and bad ways and whatever. The only pitcher on that staff that because Snell would have had to throw 115 pitches in 5 innings to shut that Red Sox lineup out because he's a scatterball guy. And his swing and miss stuff is out of the zone swing. But like Yamamoto, he would have done every bit as good against whatever. He's kind of errorless. But
So
I don't know. It
still more dominoes to drop. We have Framber Valdez, Cody Bellinger,
right.
Eugenio Suarez, Luis
Well, I
Arias,
found it
Zach Gallen.
interesting. I found it interesting that Dombrowski was really pissed off about Bichette. If I'm a Philly fan, I'm happy about the reaction because they were clearly trying to bring Bo in there. But you know what? I don't have. Valdez to the Phillies is what I'd be trying to get done right now if I'm Dave, just because I think that they're going to be fine. I think that he has done something in a sense that's magical in a way. In a sense, he's brought an MVP caliber player into next season trying to make a point. Bryce Harper, no matter what you want to say, Bryce Harper is going to be like, okay, really? You think I'm not? It guys guys that talented love to be called out and challenged. And I think that, and I know what they were saying. Hey, listen, he's an MVP. We're paying him MVP money. He didn't really have the year we're paying him to have. And I think Bryce took that worse than he should have because I don't think it was. He was just saying, listen, you didn't have your typical year.
Yeah. No,
And
I agree with that.
And he didn't.
I think he would tell you that.
I'm a monster Bryce Harper fan. Always have been. After meeting the guy, I was just totally blown away with the persona and all the things that go with that. Plus, what was the quote? The quote early in his career to the writer that asked him the stupid question.
Clown question, bro.
Oh yeah. That to me was the minute I was full on Bryce Harper jersey guy. Like, yes, at that age to have that response. He's been on since the Sports Illustrated cover when he was like born. He's been in front of the public eye and he's answered the bell. And I
was going to say he has the same thing as LeBron, where it's like I can't imagine the pressure that he's been through from the age of 15 years old, being the messiah of the sport.
The difference is I really believe Bryce Harper understands the whole team philosophy concept. And is not. We used to have this saying. There were guys in the clubhouse who were 2 for 4. What's the score, guys? Post game, I was 2 for 4. I did my job. As opposed to, I had 3 hits, but who gives a shit? We lost, right? The Dave Hollins versus the 2 for 4 guy. Dave Hollins, he could be seething mad going 0 for 4, punching out 3 times, but after a win, you'd never know it. And it was a lesson I had to learn early in my career. And Bryce Harper's, I think he's the opposite of that guy. But the Phillies got Schwarber. But I think Valdez losing Sanchez is a big deal. But I think getting Suarez. I'm sorry, not Sanchez. Yeah, losing Suarez is a big deal. But I think Framber Valdez
could make up for that.
Well, yeah, and I tend to believe that people's lives at 25, 35, and 45 encompass millions of minutes and hundreds of millions of seconds, and to judge someone on one minute period or one act is wrong. But I also think that there are things that people do in their lives that show you who they really are. And the Valdez incident this year, I think, was a huge insight into who he is. But I've got guys in the Philly clubhouse that can manage all that stuff, so I'm not worried about that. But that's my target. If I'm Dombrowski now, I bring him in.
And some good news for Philly fans. I mean, if you're a fan of that core, this means they're going to be re-signing guys like Alec Baum and JT Realmuto, who, like you mentioned, Bryce Harper.
They brought Realmuto back at 45 for 3.
And like you were mentioning with Harper having a down year, I mean, Realmuto's not the same caliber of guy, but he's coming off a career worst year, so you expect him to come back with some bounce back now that he's being re-signed.
He won't be that. Yeah, I agreed. So. So and we haven't talked much about the Bichette thing. I don't know how much that moves the needle with them. I think the Mets, to me, I was always concerned about the Mets pitching, not their hitting.
Yeah.
They've got Lindor and Soto, dude. And both of those guys could win the MVP this year. He's probably going to be my pick this year to win it, by the way.
Which one?
Soto.
Okay.
But to me, the bigger deal there was pitching, and that's why I think that Valdez is going to get a lot more money. That's where I think those are going to be the finalists for him. I think it's Phillies, unless God
we're
forbid
two
the Dodgers step up again.
we're 2 months and a week away from opening day, so we're gonna have to start getting ready to do some of those preseason picks pretty soon here.
Yeah, and we're actually going to start kicking back to 3 episodes a week here.
Yep.
I think we'll
With
talk
stuff
about
like
doing a pre.
with stuff like this, the dominoes starting to drop and more to talk about with
Right.
this.
And I think what we'll do is we'll pick a series of shows to go through, 6 shows to go through each division.
Yeah.
And
We got
then
the
2
time for it.
shows. Yeah, oh yeah. But let's talk about something else. Another big news. Finally, and I think he should have been inducted a long time ago. The best center fielder I ever saw. I thought the most athletic center fielder I ever saw. Got elected to the Hall of Fame today, Andruw Jones. I thought he was a Hall of Famer. Andruw Jones was another sign to me that the people voting for the Hall of Fame are not the right people to be voting. Because the fact that you can go back and look at some guys getting into the Ozzie Smith. For some guys, they'll overvalue defense if they like the guy. For some guys, they're undervalue it if they don't like the guy. And he gets in, rightfully so. I would argue I heard this thing about Eddie Murray when I was playing, when I played, and my dad had said it early in my life. He was so talented and athletic that he looked lazy. And people said that about Ken Griffey Jr. in a sense. Like when he ran in center field, he didn't really run. He just glided. And it looked, Devon White was another guy that did it. That was Andruw Jones to me. What he did in center field was, to me, breathtaking. He was so, and I'll use the word pretty. He was pretty. It was pretty to watch.
He moved like a gazelle or like one of those animals that, their head doesn't move while they're running.
He moved like he was hovering. Like
Yeah.
he didn't bounce when he ran. He just went across your screen.
But you know what I mean? One of those animals that's head doesn't move while they're running like 30 miles an hour. It makes it look like they're not moving that.
Now, I could be wrong, and we might need to look this up, but I believe that I pitched against him in his first major league start, and he went 0 for 4, and I punched him out 4 times. And I don't think I threw a ball below his. I don't think I threw a ball below his eyes. But and then along with Andrew, Carlos Beltran got in.
This one comes with a little more of a controversy asterisk, whatever you want to call it, attached to it.
The Houston cheating thing is never going to go away, and Jeff Kent's going to go in with them, which I think is very deserving. But Beltran was part of the Houston scandal. But I would tell you this: I think, and you know what? I haven't, honest to God, have not looked at his numbers in the sense that I couldn't tell you what he did in his career. Clearly, he had.
I have Andruw Jones' first career game, right, by the way, if you would like to hear that.
Yeah.
Andruw Jones hitting in the 2 spot was 1 for 5 with an RBI and 2 strikeouts.
Against? Mate, really?
Yep. You went 7 innings, 9 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 12 punchies, and 1 home run. Do you have any guess who the home run was off you? Hit the home run off you?
Probably Chipper or Mark Lemke.
Marquise Grissom.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, he owned me.
I was going to say, I've heard this guy's name before.
Yep, that little fucker owned me.
Sorry. Continue. Carlos Beltran.
No. But I would tell you that I think Carlos Beltran had one of the greatest postseasons of all time. And I think, if I'm not, again, I haven't looked at his numbers, but I think his postseason puts him over. I think he was so good in the postseason that he went from borderline to in.
So I have 2 questions for you based on this Carlos Beltran induction. One, because it's always been told to me that postseason contributions don't count towards your Hall of Fame criteria, correct? Is that still the standard or no?
No, that's not true. It's postseason stuff doesn't count towards award voting.
Okay, so that's the only standard. Okay, then that's a misunderstanding.
All of the awards that are given out during the season are voted on the final day of the regular season.
That makes sense. That I understand.
Yeah, no, postseason's a massive part. If postseason wasn't, I would never even be in consideration for the Hall, in my opinion.
The secondary thing is that you talk about the voters and whether they're the right people or not. We've long since had the conversation they're not, but is the framework for what criteria makes a Hall of Famer changing now? Because you mentioned
Oh,
he's marred
dramatically.
in the Houston cheating scandal. It's not only is he marred in it, he actually took a massive hit. If you look at the first 4 times he was on the ballot, like the first
Right,
time
right,
was during this whole F the
right,
Astros being caught
right,
cheating
right, right,
thing.
right.
So it's just
Dramatically
weird.
changed. Well, when I was growing up, there were guarantees: 300 wins, 400 homers, 3,000 hits. Those were like unofficial
Minimum.
numbers. If you hit those, you automatically made it.
Yeah.
You're automatically in. 3,000 strikeouts too. You were automatically in. Didn't matter. Now, I think what we're getting away from is to me, we're getting away from the longevity thing where, hey, he played for 15 years and he was really good for 12, to this guy's 5-7 year peak was insane.
Yeah, this run. Yeah.
Right, right. And I think that that's changing in a big way. And I haven't thought about it long enough to know if that's good or bad. I just know that in the last couple of years, there have been some guys elected and some guys on this ballot that got a lot of votes. I'm looking at going, how? Why? They were good, but I always told you my test, right? If you give me a name and I pause, no, right? And so, it's different for me for guys that I played with and guys who I saw, as opposed to guys that I never saw and have to think about numbers. Because I hear people talking about, oh, Honus Wagner is the greatest shortstop that ever lived. How the hell would you know? You never saw Honus Wagner play. You don't know what the game was like when he played. I mean, so I don't know. But congrats to both those guys. What an honor. And, those two and Jeff Kent, 3 guys from my era who I faced a lot. Or 2 guys from my era that I faced a lot.
And then Andrew Jones, the guy you faced right out the gate. I
Yeah.
just wanted to say on the comments for Beltran, like I obviously think he has the criteria and he has a big part in the story of baseball as a whole. But my question about the cheating part of it is, as someone who went and testified before, during the steroid scandal, and that was a whole thing during my childhood, especially where, like, when you're growing up as a young kid, you're taught about cheating and the altruism behind, like, these games and following the rules, and it sets a precedent going forward now that, like, white lies are not lies,
Well, the
like,
question,
cheating's
yeah,
not it's not
but hold on a
steroids,
second.
but
We know Gaylord Perry threw a spitball his entire career. He talked about it. It's
yeah.
cheat. Throwing a spitball is cheating. He won 300 games. We laugh about it. It's one of those old things, like, and I might have said this to you as a Christian. Don't judge people just because they sin differently than you do, right? Carlos Beltran cheated. Now, there are some people I've heard say what they did as the Astros was way worse than steroids, almost like fixing a game. And then there are other people who say, steroids is the worst of the worst. And clearly that was, if this wasn't the year that we realized the steroid guys are probably never getting in, we should, because Manny's done, and never had a shot. I think we've seen with the competition committee, the ones that are voting for in my era now, and what I've heard, there are Hall of Fame players on that committee. They will not allow these guys to get in. But is your Hall of Fame legitimate if arguably the greatest pitcher and greatest hitter that ever played are not in it?
That's where it's I was gonna say that my final, like, it's becoming like an incomplete Hall of Fame, or something akin to the
Right.
Basketball Hall of Fame in, Springfield in Massachusetts, where it's like, there's some NBA stuff here, there's some MLB stuff here, but this is kind of like a hollowed out version of,
Well,
like, you're not
you
gonna
have to make, first of all, and let's be very clear, doing steroids did help you hit a baseball. So whoever says that isn't true is bullshit, because part of the allure to the steroids, as I came to understand researching, was the recovery. These guys were playing a sport in September like I felt in April, and that's cheating. That's just like taking uppers or drugs or something like that. And Barry Bonds would have been a Hall of Famer without cheating. Roger Clemens, I think, would have been a Hall of Famer without. I mean, you got to remember, a lot of people don't know this, but yeah, I think he had like 192 wins when he started cheating. The
and
GM at the Red Sox had called him out as lazy and not a hard worker, and he didn't have a good year.
And to make your point for you there, like that's what you're talking about. Like Roger Clemens didn't need 5 to 10 miles an hour on his fastball and 200 wins into his career. He was gassed. He was tired. He needed to recover quicker. That's what it was. It's
right.
Water supplement replacement for muscles and that's why your body ends up breaking down over time.
Right. But you look at what they did at the age they did it, and then it's like both of them would have been in the Hall of Fame in my mind, unquestionably, and would have been up there as some of the greatest ever, but their numbers wouldn't have been where they are and what they are. So,
my whole thing is I have a kid now. I'm going to tell them the story of baseball. They're going to be included, so they should be in the Hall of Fame because of the caliber that they carried. If we're going to include Carlos Beltran and guys of his,
my bigger issue, and probably a testament to society, is Andy Pettitte cheated too.
It's what I mean.
And,
what?
But
where's
he
that
cheated,
line?
and apparently coming clean. Which this is a society of second chances. He's like, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry, I did it because I was coming off surgery and I wanted to recover. Well, okay, I don't believe him. I think he did it and cheated because he did it with Clemens, and he threw Clemens under the bus, and Clemens decided to. And that's what devastates me about Roger, is how big of a person he was in my career for him to go out and ruin other people's lives to keep the lie going. Roger be in the Hall of Fame, and Barry would be in the Hall of Fame today, both, if they'd both come out and said, you know what? Yeah, I effed up. I did it. I'm sorry. I did it. I'm sorry. I cheated. I shouldn't have. But I just wanted, I wanted to, whatever reason they would, because that's what Andy did, and he got monstrous amount of votes. And again, I love the guy, but I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. He won 19 games in the postseason. Oh, more wins than anybody ever. Well, you made 42 starts. If I would have had 42 starts, I would have had about 35 wins in October. I mean, in my mind. So, yeah. I don't know.
If you played for the Yankees, you might have had 35 in the starts you had.
Right. Yeah, that was and he never had to face his lineup in the postseason.
That's what I mean. That's the biggest bonus of it. Not only do you get a shot every year, but you get it with like 4 to 5 to 12 runs of support most of the time.
Right. Yep.
You got anything else?
Like, he pitched some clutch games, some big games.
Yeah.
But
remember, there's a reason he was a staple on all those teams growing up.
Remember, in 2001, they were up 3-2, and he pitched Game 6, and we scored 50,000 runs off of him that night.
Yeah, that's probably the one he would delete if he could.
Yeah. So,
you want to play a game before we get out of here?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna bring back an old one. This is the Put Us Together, where we have two famous people.
Okay.
This one will be a football player and a basketball player.
Football and basketball player with combined names.
Yes, so they'll run together. So in the past, we've done. Trying to think of another one we've done. What's another one we've done? Something.
God, who have we done?
Paul O'Neill Cruz.
Right. Yeah, that was
Shaquille O'Neal Cruz.
Right.
Paul O'Neill's a different player.
Right.
But yeah, we have a football player and a basketball player tonight, both former, not current. This will be the football player. I played for 3 NFL teams, racking up over 7,500 yards alongside 4 Pro Bowl selections and 2 first-team All-Pro selections from 2008 to 2018. And then the basketball player.
7,500 yards rushing?
7,500 yards rushing alongside 4 Pro Bowls, 2 first-team All-Pros from 2008 to 2018. And then the NBA first clue. I played for 3 teams and was an 11-time All-Star from 84 to 2000.
I don't have a clue.
Okay.
I don't have any teams.
I never won a Super Bowl, but played for a team that has appeared the most in the AFC Championship since 2010, other than the Patriots. And then the second clue for the basketball player. We played in 3 of the same cities and one of them at the same time. You and this person.
Say that second clue again.
For the basketball player?
Yeah.
We played in 3 of the same cities and one of them at the same time.
Jamal Charles Barkley.
There you go. I was going to say, there's a guy. You got to get the last name, though. Jamal Charles Barkley. Yep.
Cool. That was a good one. A very good one.
Yep. That took me a little bit. I had to find some stuff. Jamal Charles was awesome, by the way. People forget him.
Oh, no. He was in the center of my fantasy universe when I was hot to trot commission leagues.
19 touchdowns in 2013.
Yep.
That's crazy. All
right. So what do we got? It's January 20th. Yep. We're about a month away from spring training. Well, guys will be down there in a couple of weeks. So I'm thinking probably once the games start, we'll start kicking off multi-week shows. There's no reason to do 3 a week during spring training, but I think what we can do is we can set it up to do like we'll do February, March shows. Maybe we'll do all of our shows in March We'll do 2 a week, and we'll do a division a week for 6 weeks, and then AL NL prediction episode.
Sounds good.
All right.
Alrighty. Thanks for listening, guys.
Framber Valdez, he's going to sign in my mind soon, fast.
In Philly,
I'm saying Phillies 6 at 190.
Jeez, that'd be nuts.
6
I
at
hope that
180.
happens. If we're gonna have a Dodgers and a Mets in every division, I want there to be someone right below them that makes it not easy for them to spend their way into the playoffs.
Right.
So I'm open for that.
And I think we're going to see Bellinger and the Yankees come to terms in the next, I think, two or 3 days.
Alrighty.
So, all right, buddy. I love you. Kiss No for me.
Will do.
He's getting big. See you tomorrow, bub. Love you.
Love you too. We'll see you next week, guys.